Well, Rich, here we go.
Here,
Episode nine.
lover.
Hear me, lovers. Yeah, episode 9 of R&R. My goodness.
Whoa, we're on episode niner.
Yeah, but can you
Yeah.
well, no, I say every week. I don't want to
I
bore
know,
people.
don't say it again. I can believe it because you keep saying
Well,
it every bloody week.
people keep, look, guys, clearly you love what we're doing. So keep sharing, commenting, keep it going. Let more people know what we're up to. Let them hear our warblings because we want more people to, what we want to do, Rich, isn't it? We want to raise the customer experience across every different sector across the
That's
Southwest.
it.
We want people that visit us when they start coming back to start feeling great about what wonderful businesses we have down here. So
That's
let's
it.
raise customer experience. So
Cheers.
yeah, anyway, I don't know. I'll stop warbling. You've been talking again to someone up your way, haven't you, this week? You've been
I
talking
have, yes, in the lovely cathedral city of Salisbury.
Salisbury.
It wasn't the cathedral. No, I had a fantastic chat with Dave Hancock, who, with his wife Amy, they run 3 establishments. Hospitality we're looking at this week, and what they've been thinking and what they've been planning for as things change, but obviously not massively for them at the moment. So they're really under the cosh, as I said at the end of last week's episode. So it'd be interesting to hear what Dave says. So shall we? Let's. Thanks very much, Dave, for joining us today and for giving our listeners an opportunity to hear what your thoughts are around customer experience and the COVID-19 situation we find ourselves in the moment. It would be fantastic if you can just start by introducing yourself and your business to the listeners.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on today. Myself and my wife have a hospitality business in Salisbury. We've got 3 sites. We've got Tinga, which is a Mexican restaurant and cocktail venue. We have Deacons, which is a wet-led community pub. And we have Caboose, which is a high-end bed and breakfast boutique style with a 1920s inspired cocktail bar built in. So got about 30 to 40 staff, depending on season.
Yeah.
And we've been going for nearly 3 years now in Salisbury.
Fantastic. Thanks very much. So in terms of the situation we find ourselves in at the moment, of course, it's changing on a weekly basis, and we have had some insight from the government that things are going to start changing. We've already seen that towards beginning of June, the non-essential retail started to lift, and then they're talking about the 1st of July. So with that sort of thing in mind, how easy has it been for you to plan for the changes that are going to be coming into place? And off the back of that, what are the key things that you've identified that you need to focus on if things do shift towards the beginning of July?
Yeah, sure. I mean, like you said, it's changing quickly and frequently. So we found ourselves glued to various webinars, government websites, as much, as everybody has. I think with hospitality, probably some of the greyest area sector. Certainly if we were to think about Deacons, which is the wet-led pub, it's a very small outlet, very high capacity and turnover of customers. And the idea of social distancing, a quintessential pub is unheard of. So I think for us, that represents some big challenges. But I have to say that the Salisbury business community, there's been some really good forums, lots of good working groups, lots of shared ideas, which has been helpful. However, we have made a decision to not jump the gun too much. And I think you can get yourself in a bit of pickle worrying and overthinking scenarios when the government haven't actually given the guidance yet. So we've kind of just been pacing ourselves with it. We know roughly how we're going to work each venue. Some represent much more challenges than others. But yeah, regular webinars, lots of check-ins with the government.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, we're going to have to come up with our own personalized plan. There isn't a blanket plan you can roll out with every pub. Some have beer gardens, some have back rooms, some have function rooms, some have food, some don't do food. So it's going to be a very tailored plan for every venue we have.
Yeah, it sounds like the collaboration piece is really interesting across the sector itself. I think that's coming across from a lot of the organisations we're speaking to as well. That there are ideas there and there are ways of doing things. So it sounds like that being part of a plan is a really good thing to do, is to talk to other people. It sounds like you're not just on your own. Obviously, there are a number of different establishments in a similar position. Is that what you've been sort of hearing and feeling?
Yeah, definitely. There's a very strong independent business group, and I'm the chair of the Salisbury Pub Watch, and we've got 40-ish members. Some are from national chains, so name check Wetherspoons is probably the easiest for Salisbury. You know, other venues like that will be very much at a head office level, and their engagement of their manager on the ground, you know, they won't have much say, I guess. So it's kind of the more independently run venues. We've been meeting certainly digitally once a week, and then our committee meets probably twice a week at the minute, which normally we only do once a month. So we've set up fresh WhatsApp groups. Salisbury Business Improvement District also dial into our Pub Watch committee group. So there's lots and lots of good ideas, you know, conversations around risk assessments, PPE suppliers, hand sanitizer suppliers. So I would say really positive conversations for those that want to get involved. You know, clearly some businesses are just going to do their own thing, which is fine. But yeah, so far it's a very strong network and only positive conversation, I would say, at the moment.
Yeah. Fantastic. I think that's definitely something we need, and positive conversations that your customers also can then sort of start to hear about, because I think that's one of the key things that we've been looking at recently is actually confidence levels within the consumer and customer base around an area, and that's interestingly across the UK. That's we've got some data around that, and we've just been looking at locally as well, and the Wiltshire and the Dorset sort of area in terms of what people want to do, and they still have that little bit of a reduced confidence level in going to socially interactive venues such as public houses and restaurants, etc. So with that sort of lower confidence levels, how has that in fact impacted your communication style or frequency with customers?
Sure. Yeah, really good point. And again, every business owner is going to read this differently. So I will only talk from our business, and our view has been not to communicate as frequently as we did. I think we've got some very strong social media platforms across all of our sites, with some really good engaging content, which we're proud of and we're always working on. However, when the pandemic kicked in, we didn't feel it perhaps as necessary to pummel people's social needs with recipes and ideas, and because we just didn't feel that the mood and the mood was there for people to talk about that. You know, very negative at the start, the first few weeks. And whilst obviously we need to inspire confidence and positivity with our customers, we really sort of just took a step back from our communication. We, you know, did the basics. We had notes on our website explaining what our situation was. We sent an e-shot out to our customer base. And we've done some very targeted, very specific posts relating to what we're doing in the community or how we're doing. You know, for example, we did some NHS meals for free at the restaurant, and we went and delivered to the paramedic station and the post office. So kind of we tailored a post around that just to show some empathy with our community. That's probably how it's affected it. It has completely changed our strategy with our customers. And I guess from now onwards, as you said, that the hospitality isn't reopening until potentially July. We're going to be one of the last to go. So now our strategy will be to talk to our customers about the changes we've made within each venue to help make it COVID secure. We haven't been able to do that yet because the guidance hasn't been 100% clear from the government. So it was no good putting in one-way systems and hand sanitizer here and hand sanitizer there if that's not what we're going to do. So the next couple of weeks, we'll see some big changes with how we communicate, what we communicate.
Great. And in terms of, obviously, customers really, really important to make sure that they're aware of what's going on or potentially going on, etc. How about the team? You mentioned you got 30 dependent on season, etc. How have you interacted with those guys?
So our focus to start with, I guess, was on I guess, the mental health and of our staff. In hospitality, these guys are surrounded almost 24/7 with lots of people, lots of energy. So then for that to all be taken away and then suddenly perhaps living on their own with no interaction, our focus has absolutely been trying to keep the team engaged and confident with what our business plan is. So, and there's such a diverse age range, obviously, in hospitality. You have lots of people only doing a few hours a week, and then you have people, it's their full-time job. You know, so very different to an office environment of a small business that, say, has 5 full-time staff that they see 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, every day. Our engagement has to be very tailored to make sure that it's broad enough to cover everybody. So we've been sending out like a monthly detailed email to everybody explaining, you know, very basics. What is furlough? Are you on furlough? This is what you're going to get. On this date, your paycheck's going to come. Don't worry. The government have backed this. The businesses are closed. However, we are feeling very confident. These are the things we're doing. So that's kind of the main email the guys get once a month. But on top of that, we've been doing quizzes with the guys, which we just won't talk about work. You know, they can win a Domino's takeaway, and we'll have a quiz on Zoom. So that's been great. And then we've opened up a lot of training opportunities. You know, furlough is very explicit that staff can still train. So we've been trying to push the team if they want to get involved. We've not been forcing anything upon them. Again, I think, you know, mental health is our priority rather than you must do this and must do that. But I'm pleased to say that a number of the guys have accepted free training programs. So we've got some of the full-time guys doing full apprenticeships, leadership programs, team building programs, health and safety programs, and then some smaller training courses that have been provided, all free of charge. And some of those have been government supported. So we've taken that, passed that onto the team, and they've been working on that as well. So pleased to say that our communication's been really great with the team. Fantastic.
So we're getting to the end of our little chat here today. The future, you know, going through this, it's I use the word unprecedented. Sorry, it's happening. It's going forward. What, you know, how are you feeling about the next few months?
Yeah, positive. Genuinely, really, really positive. You know, we're a young company. We've got quite ambitious ideas. I think we're going to see an acceleration in technology. I think that's what we're going to see. You know, I do think app-based ordering in food and drink establishments will be sped along at a quicker pace. I mean, this is already being used. You know, for example, in our restaurant, to take an order, it gets punched into a tablet. The ticket prints in the kitchen. So we're already doing that. However, I think we're going to see that on a bigger scale. For example, so I'm not saying we would do it on day one, but I don't think it's me far away that you would be seated at your table. You would order yourself off an app to really reduce that contact with people. That's probably those kind of technology changes. That's what we're going to see come into play more. I think customers are going to visit venues which they feel very confident in, which I know you've touched upon a few times, and the venues that really take COVID security measures seriously, I think will benefit. I think, yeah, we're just going to have to tailor our offering a bit different to what we did before. You know, customers are just going to be a bit more conscious, certainly different age groups. And that's what we're going to see the big changes. So that's what we're focusing our attention on. Fantastic.
Yeah. So changing behaviours across the board from a business point of view and from a customer point of view. Things are going to continue to evolve and change, as you mentioned quite rightly. So we'll see what happens over the next few weeks and months, and I hope it's as successful as you see it going to be, and get through this and provide some great places to socialise in Salisbury in the coming months and years. So Dave, thanks ever so much for your time, and stay safe, and we'll speak to you soon. Thank you. Nice talking to you. Thank you. See ya. Bye-bye. So lots of really interesting stuff there from Dave, from a hospitality point of view. What were your thoughts?
God, you know, he clearly is a very, very smart cookie. You know, running 3 businesses. Can you imagine what he must have been going through, you know, just on a human scale, when, you know, Boris got up and started talking about closing pubs and restaurants. I mean, I can't even begin to understand how him and his lovely wife must have felt. But what really came across for me listening to him, listening to your questioning, was I was really impressed that he'd taken everything in his stride. He principally thought about his team and how he was communicating with them on a regular basis and making sure they were okay. And then what I really liked about what he said, about what Dave said, was he reached out to stakeholders in Salisbury, the business community in Salisbury, to really help him think through his plan, think through how he was going to survive and cope and come out the other end, using his network. I think he's used his network brilliantly in terms of, you know, not panicking. And, you know, and then thinking ahead, thinking about, there's one thing he said that that really stuck with me, which was, don't jump the gun. You know, we've talked about having a plan, haven't we, for weeks now, about how you sort of bring your business back. And clearly for the hospitality industry, that's been really, really difficult, because they haven't known when the government is going to push, you know, fire the starting gun on the set. They've talked about early July, and let's hope, you know, God willing, that the virus and everything else allows them to do that. But yeah, not jumping the gun and being really clear about what the guidance was. So I thought that was really powerful, actually, in terms of what he was saying.
Yeah, it's definitely that thinking piece, that pausing and thinking, and that fitted in, which is really interesting, because we talk about communication. That also fitted in on the amount of communication that you spoke about. You know, not wanting to overkill in terms of, here's another piece of information, something else for you to do, which is an interesting way of looking at it, because, you know, often you're thinking you need to keep people in the loop and keep them going, but of course we've got to understand that customers and ourselves, we've got loads of other stuff going on in our lives as well. So the key things that you're communicating have to be relevant and actually hit the mark at that particular point in time. So I think Dave's view of sort of being a little bit more, you know, holding it back, really worked well, which was great. And of course that communication with teams as well was clearly coming across, and that is something we are finding, you know, a lot more now, that as people go back to the workplace or even continue to work remotely, how much are organisations understanding their employees and the way they feel? There it is, the F word, don't swear at me. You know, feeling piece. How do you know? Do you know? And what impact does that have on customer experience?
Well, the reality is, though, firms aren't asking, and that's, you know, we haven't done on the Warblins very much is talk about what we do and how we can help at Insight 6. And one of the key things we can help you with for a very reasonable price is our COVID checker. And he talked about it, didn't he? Dave talked about being COVID safe. Mm-hmm. Now, you're not going to know how your people feel unless you ask. And our COVID checker asks your people as often or as little as you want to, every day, every week, every month, however you want it set up, but asks them how they feel. Mm-hmm. Do they feel safe? And if they don't feel safe, they get the opportunity to tell the business why. And when I've been talking to businesses about the COVID checker, they go, what a brilliant idea. What a brilliant idea. You know, that's not me having to write an email every 2 minutes to ask somebody how they feel. But, you know, you look at Dave's example, and they haven't got time to do that. They're planning, you know, they want somebody in the background that can help them do this work for them. And then the other question that I think hospitality businesses should be asking their customers is, how confident are they going to feel about coming back? So do they genuinely understand what their customers are going to expect to see when they turn back up in the pub or the restaurant or wherever it is? And if they don't, ask them. And again, that's something we can help with. We've got a customer sentiment survey that's written. We can help benchmark you against what other sectors are saying within that survey. So, you know, get hold of us, contact us. We can really help with this stuff to come.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, you know, there's opportunities there, and going back to what Dave was talking about, you know, working together, working with people, you know, can provide you that specialism makes a difference. Even in, you know, the independents in Salisbury, there's a big group of independents, and they all work together. They all come together because they want to be successful and they want to do the best thing for customers. And that, at the end of the day, is the key thing. You know, you've got to listen to the customers. You've got to give them what they're expecting in a way that keeps their confidence levels at the right level. So if you do want to hear about anything that we can provide, you know, offer you, there will be a link either in the comments box if you're watching the video. If you're listening to us on the podcast, there will be a link on the podcast sites as well. So please do click and have a look. If you want to hear more about Dave Hancock's businesses in Salisbury, Tinga, the Mexican restaurant, Deacon's, a lovely little pub, or Caboose, a rather nice bar stroke B&B, then please do follow the links that will be also available in the posts that this fine podcast has been pushed out to you via.
Just before we go this week, I just want to pose.
Thinking again, guys. He's thinking again. Hold your
I want to pose a question. Guys, if you're listening or watching to this and you'd like us to warble live so you can ask some questions of us, please let us know. Please please contact us on LinkedIn, or leave in your review of today's podcast, leave us a little message to say that you'd like us to do that, because we quite like to take the show live. You know, we might even have a pint of cider to help us along the way. But yeah, let us know what you think, because you know, we've got some knowledge we'd like to share.
Excellent. So we could have live R&R. Yeah,
live R&R.
Anyway, I've been Richard Knight.
And I've been Rian Uxtable, and I'll see you all soon.
Cheers, me babbers.